In the early 1970s, the two leading action figure toy lines vying for the attention of boys all across the United States were Mego's World's Greatest Superheroes and Hasbro's G.I. Joe Adventure Team. Mego first released their 8-inch tall range of superhero action figures in 1972, and as successful as these were, they did little to dampen the popularity of G.I. Joe, a toy line that was launched back in 1964, and one that had even survived a transition from being a military range and then turning into an adventure-themed toy line. A change that was made necessary due to the anti-war sentiment stemming from public opposition to the Vietnam War. Initially, both of these action figure manufacturers prospered in the market. However, in 1974, Mego started coming on strong, and it made Hasbro sit up and take notice. This shift in competition was due to Mego's licensing of two live-action media properties, Planet of the Apes and Star Trek, with both of these action figure lines performing extremely well at retail. These new licenses helped Mego gain significant ground in the action figure marketplace, and with the knowledge that another rival toy company, Kenner, was also making a play for the $6 Million Man license, Hasbro went on the offensive. These events set the stage for an epic marketing battle to be fought in 1975. The battle for a $6 million toy market, and a battle fought between the Atomic Man and the Bionic Man.
Come with me, toy fans.
Hey toy fans, my name is Tony and welcome back to the Analog Toys YouTube channel, where we're obsessed with bringing you the true history of vintage toys and action figures. Having started out as a series of 3 television movies, the $6 Million Man was so successful that it morphed into a full-blown pop culture phenomenon by the time its first episodic TV series was aired on the ABC network in 1974. Starring Lee Majors in the lead role, the series follows the adventures of former NASA astronaut Colonel Steve Austin, who is rebuilt with bionic implants after a test flight crash leaves him with severe injuries. The $6 Million Man became the #1 rated TV show in America, and with an audience that included both parents and children, the youth of the time were clamouring for a Steve Austin action figure. At that time, the Cincinnati-based Kenner Products company was best known for toys such as the Easy Bake Oven and Spirograph, and not known for producing action figures. But nevertheless, they made an ambitious bid to secure the rights to produce $6 Million Man toys based off the hit TV show. When word of this bid reached Paul Sullivan, Hasbro's Director of Corporate Communications, he tried to convince Hasbro President Merrill Hassenfeld to load up a suitcase full of cash and go to California and snatch the license away from Kenner. Yet this couldn't be done, so Hasbro decided to come up with some sort of a defensive effort. Hasbro's quickly creative response was Mike Power the Atomic Man, and this character had nothing to do with the Atomic Man comic that was first published way back in 1945. When Mike Power was recruited into the G.I. Joe Adventure Team in 1975, he was the first figure in the line to have his own name and backstory. This set Mike Power apart from the rest of the generic figures in the G.I. Joe Adventure Team range, and his introduction also marked the line's first departure into a more fantastical realm. As depicted in this comic book advertisement, Mike Power wasn't the victim of a test flight gone wrong like Steve Austin, and was instead a man born with disabled limbs, who spent his entire life creating fantastic new atomic parts for his body, and after easily passing a series of tests, he successfully joins the G.I. Joe Adventure Team. Initially, Hasbro was going to call the figure Major Mike Power, the Bionic Man, because you cannot trademark the term Bionic Man, yet knowing that they'd likely get sued by Kenner anyway, Hasbro changed the name to Mike Power the Atomic Man, to avoid getting drawn into a murky legal battle over the naming of an action figure. It's also worth noting that the $6 Million Man wasn't the only TV show to influence the G.I. Joe line in the mid-1970s. After the British Palitoy Company introduced gripping hands on their Action Man figures in 1973, the innovation was then included with new G.I. Joe Adventure Team figures, but the name was changed from Gripping Hands to Kung Fu Grip, a phrase heavily inspired by the popular Kung Fu television series, even though the feature was designed to help Joe better hold his accessories and had nothing at all to do with martial arts. Mike Power the Atomic Man has the same body design as the other G.I. Joe figures, yet his atomic right arm and left leg are produced in a clear plastic with grey internal components that make them appear mechanical. It's an odd choice to only give him one atomic leg, because he is seen in the comic strip running at 200 miles per hour, and it makes me wonder how the hell his natural leg ever kept up.
I believe it's jogging or yogging. It might be a soft J.
Mike Power also featured an atomic flashing eye that directed light through a clear plastic pipe that ran from his eye to the top of his head. While Mike Power did bear the trademark G.I. Joe facial scar, it was moved across to his left cheek, and he did not feature the lifelike hair that had been a feature of the G.I. Joe range since 1970. He was also dressed in some generic clothing that had been released previously, and he was not supplied with any footwear, and I assume that most of these choices were made to reduce the production cost of the figure. Where the G.I. Joes needed the Adventure Team helicopter to move around in the air, Mike Power was equipped with a handheld helicopter that could be spun by using a device incorporated into his atomic forearm. During the development of this figure, Hasbro remained adamant that their entry into the Bionic craze would not envelop the character of G.I. Joe himself. Hasbro wanted to do their own version of the Bionic Man because they knew that the $6 million man was going to take business out of the market. So they created this entirely new character because they wanted to keep G.I. Joe true to what he was. G.I. Joe was a soldier of fortune type and not a bionic thing. Hasbro created Mike Power the Atomic Man in a very short period of time, and while he was primarily available on a large blister card, he was also available in this rarer solid box packaging through the Sears catalogue. In order to broaden the appeal of their new Mike Power figure, Hasbro also offered a series of Atomic Man accessory sets and a secret Mountain Outpost playset, where Mike Power could test his atomic features. Most crucially though, Hasbro managed to get their Mike Power Atomic Man figure into the market before Kenner's $6 million man figure was actually released. Arriving in stores later in 1975, Kenner's initial $6 million man toy range included the Bionic Man action figure, the backpack radio accessory set, and the Bionic transport and repair station.
Once or twice in history, something new comes along. Something so different, so exciting, it defies the imagination. This year, Kenner has that something. The $6 million Man.
Kenner's $6 million man action figure stands considerably taller than G.I. Joe, clocking in at over 13 inches in height. He wears the iconic red tracksuit from the intro of the TV show, and the figure features a face sculpt that is stunningly accurate to the handsome actor Lee Majors. Kenner also incorporated a ton of exciting play features into the figure, including fake skin over his bionic arm that could be rolled up to expose his bionic circuitry, a bionic eye that children could look through via a wide-angle aperture in the back of Steve's head, and his bionic power arm that could lift the supplied engine block accessory by turning his head to the right and depressing the button on his back in quick succession. Kenner put a lot of effort into this figure, and they reaped great rewards from the concept of including multiple play features. Throughout the 1970s and 80s, it was quite typical for imported toy lines to arrive in Britain a full year after their US release, and hence a similar battle for bionic dominance played out in the United Kingdom in 1976. The $6 million man was adopted by Denys Fisher, while the Atomic Man was brought into the Palitoy Action Man range.
First Action Man, now Atomic Man. See his signaling eye, half pacer, and mighty arm with rotocopter attachment. Atomic Man, one of the Action Man team, from Palitoy.
This new Bionic Man action figure was just as popular in Britain as he had been in the United States, with my own mother recently telling me that when my older brother wanted one, she had to bring the toy back from a holiday in Portugal because they had sold out everywhere in the UK in 1976. While Denys Fisher made no changes to the Steve Austin action figure for his British debut, they did change the packaging from a window box to a solid box. On the other hand, Palitoy made numerous alterations to the Atomic Man figure. They gave him the lifelike hair that was omitted on the US release of the figure. They included newly designed packaging art, a dashing black jumpsuit with silver piping on the sleeves and legs, and the introduction of the Atomic Heart pacemaker. This final feature was activated by pressing an atomic-looking button inset into Atomic Man's chest. The pacemaker was designed by Ivor Edmonds in response to a request from the Palitoy marketing team who wanted an extra selling feature. At first, Atomic Man was not welcomed into the fold by Hasbro or Palitoy. He was seen as a necessary inconvenience to combat the inevitable success of a new Bionic Man action figure. As such, both Hasbro and Palitoy kept the character at an atomic arm's length from the core characters of G.I. Joe and Action Man. Yet despite being originally intended as a short-term solution to the problem of the officially licensed $6 million man figure, Atomic Man turned out to be the first of a new line of fantasy figures in both ranges, who would fight an increasingly difficult battle against television and film character merchandising. Hasbro led this new charge by introducing Bullet Man, the human bullet, and the new enemy of G.I. Joe, the Intruders, strongmen from another world. Both of these figures were brought into the Action Man stable, with the Intruder remaining an enemy character and Bullet Man joining Atomic Man as part of the Action Man team, a team that also consisted of Tom Stone and the Action Man Desert Fighter.
It's the Action Man team on patrol looking for the Intruder, strongman from another world. Action Man spots him with his eagle eyes. Too late. The Intruder's got Tom Stone in a vicious bear hug. Atomic Man lets him have it with an atomic right. The Intruder is stunned, but not for long, and the chase is on. Action Man checks out underwater in the Seawolf, the Action Team submarine that actually dives and surfaces. No luck. He takes to the skies with his turbocopter and spots the Intruder's hideout from above. This is a job for Bullet Man, the human bullet. That'll flush him out. And here comes Action Man in the capture copter. Mission accomplished. Action Man.
Although Kenner's Mike Power Atomic Man did see success at retail, it only lasted a few months before Kenner's officially licensed $6 million man figure made it into the market. Kids wanted the Bionic Man that they saw on TV, and once Steve Austin began appearing on toy store shelves, demand for Atomic Man figures disappeared overnight. Over the next few years, Kenner aggressively expanded their $6 million man toy range, introducing numerous accessory sets and play sets, and a wide cast of characters, all of which maintained this concept of incorporating multiple play features, and this created a line that was really fun to play with and produced such toy gems as the utterly amazing Maskatron figure. Kenner's $6 million man toy range saw 4 years of success at retail, and while Palitoy's Action Man was able to weather this Bionic storm in the UK, across the pond, G.I. Joe wasn't as lucky. During these intervening years, the original 12-inch G.I. Joe line was discontinued, with Hasbro launching the smaller scale Super Joe in 1977, which failed miserably in toy stores. According to Daryl Dupree's book The Collectible G.I. Joe, which I highly recommend by the way, Hasbro's Atomic Man sold almost 1 million units, but when you consider that he retailed for $5.44, I guess that makes him the $5.4 million man instead. Kenner's $6 million man clearly won this Bionic battle for retail dominance, with a supremely creative toy line that was simply a ton of fun to play with, and that is a formula not easily duplicated in the toy world. Although these toy companies continued to compete with each other throughout the rest of the decade and into the 1980s, the final blow landed in this battle for a $6 million toy market came at the end of 1975, when Kenner stuck 2 bionic fingers up at Hasbro when they published a full-page advertisement announcing that their Colonel Steve Austin figure was the #1 toy in America and the company's greatest first-year success ever. So thank you all for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, you can click the links up here to check out some of our other videos about the $6 million man and G.I. Joe, or subscribe to the channel by clicking here, or consider supporting us on Patreon, where you'll get access to hours of exclusive content. I'm Tony from Analog Toys, and I'll see you in the next video.